So I'm going to do a quick product review, box opening right now, and then we'll go install it. But I've got the JL hood latches for the JK Jeep. Ordered them, they came in today. They look really good as far as like real solid construction, metal parts where it needs it, that high pressure plastic where you don't. These look like they're going to work good. It's got a nice little cushion there so you can really adjust down on it. They say there's some work to do to have these installed, but I got 20 minutes. Let's see what we can do. Anyway, we'll get out to the truck and do it up. All right, so here's my Jeep. It's a 2015 Rubicon, and these are the original hood latches. And you can see even with it closed, there's this little bit of gap, and the gap's not bad, but that flex is really noticeable on the highway, especially when you're crossing semis or getting past or whatever happens. That hood flutter is what I got to get rid of. So we'll start by opening up, and I'm just going to take these off real quick, pop the hood, and we'll come back to it here in just a second. So I had to get a little creative here. I got it loose finally. You'll see that it has one bolt back here. It's a 13 millimeter. However, I had to get creative with how to get to it. That's not the product's fault, that's Jeep's fault. I guess they don't want you stealing this stuff. But I'm gonna get this the rest of the way off, and then we will continue on with the install. All right, so we got it off, and looking at it, this is where the old one was. We'll hook the new one up to it. It should go right in. I cleaned it up a little bit to get some of the dirt off of it, but here's the old guy. The washer that it came, or the nut that came off, I may reuse this if it fits, just because it has that big washer attached where it won't pull through as easy. And well, I like this washer. So here's what they're talking about in most of the reviews is that this is your new JK style, and it has the little alignment tabs. Cool. And the way it lines up, well, for lack of a better word, doesn't. Those holes are just a little too low. So what we're gonna do is the people that I bought it for suggested drilling more holes into their truck. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna snap these little plastic tabs off and sand them down a little bit, and I think that bolt will hold. Those plastic tabs aren't gonna do anything other than align it anyway, maybe keep it from rotating, and really I don't think that's a big issue. So I guess that's up to you. Feel free to drill holes in your truck or break the $50 piece of plastic. All right, so I snapped the little ends off. It was really not that big a deal. They were not gonna provide anything other than allowing it to rotate a little bit. What I am gonna do though is make a little rubber grommet, because I didn't like the real hard plastic on the metal. I think after a while, maybe something loosens off, it could scratch it up a little bit. So I did have old school inner tube for a bicycle that 12 and a half, I mean, my kid's 22 years old, so this isn't something I'm going to use. So I'm going to cut a rubber grommet out and put it on the back of this, just to kind of give it a little buffer so I can crank it down without worrying about cracking the plastic or anything. So I guess I could show you how that works, but shouldn't be a big deal. I don't have to worry about cutting it open, because I don't care if it gets a hole in it, because I'm about to cut it in half. So I'm really just gonna line it up, eyeball it. I'm gonna make it a little smaller than what I'm working with, because I don't want it to hang out, and I don't want to have to trim it while it's on the deal. So let's see how we're doing width-wise. I'm gonna go ahead and make it a single layer, because I think this is a little more spongy than what I actually need. So we're gonna cut that right about in half. That way I can use it on the other side too. So now I have two rubber grommets, and I may put them in like that. absolutely gonna put them in like that. So I'm gonna cut a hole right here and I'll be right back. So here it is also, what I was talking about with, I got my grommets installed, my little rubber, right? I cut them even, so from the outside you won't even be able to tell that they're on. This is the OEM bolt or nut that came with it, has the washer attached, the washer spins so it won't tear through. This is what came with it. It's a good nylon lock nut. I'm gonna keep it, I'm gonna use it somewhere else, but not necessarily on this project. So now it's time to go put it on the truck. So there's something to be said about some dexterity here. You're gonna wanna be able to put this bolt on with one hand, kind of more or less 2 fingers. So got your grommet on, slide it on. Make sure it's lined up where you want it, because remember I had to remove those alignment tabs or drill into my truck. Then you really just, you're gonna have to do this blind, but shouldn't be that big a deal. It just rotates on. Make sure you don't cross thread it, because you don't want to have to replace that nut or that bolt. Super easy. Just kind of rotate it on once you get it started. It's there. And snug it up as much as you can with your hand, because you're not gonna want to have to get a whole lot of turns on it with your ratchet set, because like I said, I had to make a giant chain of tools just to get this to work out right. Really not that big a deal. I'm gonna put it in with one hand, got it around that nut. Remember we said that was a 13 millimeter, and tighten it up, get it nice and snug. You can kind of give it a little bit because you've got that grommet on there now, so you're gonna have to take the space out. Don't over tighten it, because you're not gonna want to break anything, but you've also got it on there nice and solid. Looks like it's gonna work out great, and we'll do the other side and make sure it looks right, or at least the top side. So I gotta figure out camera angles on that, but it looks good. So these are 10 millimeter. There are 2 bolts on the back side. I kind of halfway shut my hood because I'm not really that tall. So why not? Make sure when you're shutting your hood on something that it's not sharp and pokey and all that stuff, because you don't want to put dents on the bottom side of your hood. And these things were super not tight. Once you break torque on them, they are just finger tight, roll right off. And so now we've removed the OEM hood latches. I'm gonna get rid of some flutter issues. You can see the OEM one has this clip that held on to keep it from rotating. We may try to reuse that. Again, a little plastic seal here, maybe to keep the dust. Not a big fan of dust underneath between paint and plastic. You can see it did a good job of keeping it out, but it still piles up there after a few years. So I like to, anytime I'm installing something new, I like to take the dirt off. Why not? Protect the finish, protect your install, protect your new parts, and really just kind of take care of your truck, especially if you want it to last you for a while. I'm going to reuse these as well, because they have the flat washers on the back. They won't dig into the deal, and I don't have to provide my own washers. So highly recommend reusing what hardware you can from the OEM. All right, so that last video was a little out of focus. So this is that plastic grommet that was on the back of the OEM clasp for the upper, and you can see that it's shaped and contoured correctly. It matches. So I took this off. I like this because it clips onto the bottom of the hood and keeps the whole thing from rotating. However, what I don't like is the new piece that came for the truck. It will fit on like this, and when installed on the vehicle, it's got a tab above. It's a little bit smaller dimensions, so what I'm going to do is trim this to fit so that I can reuse it and still, I made the rubber grommets as well, but I don't like that as much as I like this, because this will keep it from rotating. I don't see that being an issue, but if I've got it, why not use it? So I'm gonna trim that up and we'll put it back on. All right, so we've got it, we trimmed it up just this side of perfect. Looks okay, it's gonna clip, it's gonna hold. We're gonna go ahead and reinstall that back on the truck first, so I don't have to fight it. Then we're gonna take this, make sure you got hook side up. It goes right on there, like so. And then we're gonna take the OEM bolts. Remember, here's the difference between the OEM and what they came with. So it has a washer attached. The one that they sent didn't have the washer. Like I said, good nylon lock washer, just not right for this application. So let's see. Go ahead and jam that on. Get these things started. Sucked up. I would leave these a little loose, but I don't think I'm going to typically. You'd want to be able to make adjustments, but I am sick and tired of hood flutter. So I'm going to adjust these all the way to where they pull down real tight. And then take my 10mm and tighten these jokers back up again. I'm not gonna really over tighten them because I do just kind of want to see how it's gonna work. But it's squared up. It looks nice. I mean, the finish is right alongside with the factory fenders. Those are coming off soon too, but until then, they're not. So, remove this hood prop out of the way. And let's see about fitment. Right over the top. Nice and tight. Oh, that is good. Zero hood flutter. Easy to release, but still holds on real nice. And just do that same thing to the other side. And we'll be in business. Love it. Great product. So this one's gonna be even less friendly. The other side was super easy to get on and off. This one you're gonna wanna remove your air box. So I pulled the 2 screws that hold on this to kind of secure it, let it get some wiggle room. This pops off with just those normal little clips. And this feels like it's bolted in. It's not. Go ahead and yank on it. Give it hell, you won't hurt it. It fits these little guys into a rubber grommet down there, and they're just a good tight fit. Now, this, removing the airbox, is gonna allow you to put a wiggle ratchet down through here into the side to be able to get on that 13mm. I think you're gonna absolutely have to have a wiggle socket to break torque and to actually tighten it up. Once you get that done, once you break torque on it, they're just hand tight. Make sure you get a good grip. Keep a good tight hold on that nut because you don't want to have to chase it down. There's a lot of wires and stuff that run through here, so a lot of ways for that nut to get held up and not make it to the floor, which is any mechanic's favorite sound, is the nut hitting the floor, not getting stuck on a wire. When it falls and it doesn't make any sound, that's the worst. So again, that's the little guy that we're coming off replacing. Here's the nut that we're gonna keep using, and the other one is already ready to install. All I have to do is, first off, I'm gonna clean this because I haven't done that yet. It just came off. Nice and clean, no scars, no plastic. I've got that homemade rubber grommet that you guys are probably gonna hate, but it's a good idea. And then, once again,
see how talented we are. Righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? Okay, and we've got it about as tight as we can get it with just fingertips. Still got the air box removed, so we're able to snake this through. Back in here again. Alright, make sure you're relatively squared up because we don't have those alignment tabs. Again, it's probably not recommended to break your brand new part, but for a hood latch, I'm not ready to drill holes into my fenders. So we are all the way hooked up. I already did the top one. That one was stupid easy. I like to wipe down my parts before I put them in. I don't know. I know it's not. It's just a Jeep. It's gonna get dirty. It's gonna get thrown in the mud. I haven't had a chance to take this one out yet, but she will. She'll get broke. And then when you break it, you replace it with something better. I'm gonna hate that. Alright, sits nice and tight. Air filter. That's what you're sitting on, so give me just a second. I hope you can see that. Actually, it doesn't matter. This part I think just about anybody will be able to do. They're actually expected to do every once in a while. Make sure you get good tight seals on these, because I have been in water, not in this Jeep, but I've been in water deep enough to where I was happy I made good connections on my seals. I don't want to ingest a bunch of water. All right. And let's see if we can't move you around to where you can see this. These were the securing bolts that I took out. Again, just 10 millimeter. They're made to move a little bit. And this should be it. A couple little clicks to make on my air filter box. Again, so I'm making good seals. I already did it. All right, and I gotta move you out of the way so I can shut the hood, and we should be good to go. Check on our hood flutter. All right, so got all the hood latches installed. Everything looks good, nice and solid, good high strength plastic and rubber. So ready to bring it down. Make sure you get the box out of the way on both sides. And that is nice and solid, nice and secure. That hood isn't going anywhere. And that was my main goal on this, was getting rid of that hood flopping around as I pass cars on the highway or if they pass me. So I think everything's right. I think it looks good. And on to the next upgrade.
By far a good product.
Highly recommend.